Caroline Pike here with the Bark Lounge, and I just wanted to make a little video here about toddlers or young children and dogs, and how they should meet dogs they do not know. Quite often I get asked the question of how come your child is really good with dogs? My dog doesn't really like kids. How do I get my child to be around dogs as comfortably as your own child? Those of you who know me or have been to the Bark Lounge will know that my own child, who's 4.5, is pretty much at the daycare or out walking dogs with me almost as much as I am with the dogs, and he's grown up with it since birth, and I've been teaching him a lot, and he's been learning a lot since being here as well. But there's always something new to learn. And I just wanted to kind of go over a few things on how to, things that your kid should know when meeting dogs or cats or any creature that he does not know. Say, for example, let's use the example of you are out at Rocky Point at the local park and you are walking along and your kid sees a dog and they really want to go pet it. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your child will go over and ask permission to pet that dog. They should always ask permission. Doesn't matter how friendly that dog looks. Doesn't matter if that dog is being walked with other children. It doesn't matter if he's playing with other children. If a dog is with children, it means he likes the children he is with. It does not mean that he will automatically like your own child. Even if they're a friend of a friend, or anything like that, just always treat a dog that you have met 0 to 5 times as a stranger dog, because it will take a little while for your dog to get used to you and your child as well. If your child can talk, you should get them to ask if they can pet the dog. It builds your own child's confidence, and it also teaches them to be able to do that. If your child cannot quite say this yet, then you ask for them. Make sure you are walking over with your child, and not just sending your child over and speaking from a distance. If the owner says no, say thank you, and then move on and walk away. And then if they say yes, please listen to make sure they don't have a certain way for you to meet your dog. Dogs in training, the owner will probably say something along the lines of, yes, you may meet my dog, however, can you just sit or just let her sniff you or anything like that. Don't assume that yes suddenly means go pet the dog. Quite often I've had children come over and ask me if they can pet dogs, and I have said no, and they'll still stand around and try and pet them. So it would be nice if they, I usually just say, no, honestly, he's not really friendly and we're going to continue our walk now, and I will leave. And if I say yes, quite often as soon as I say yes, or before you even can finish saying yes, they're reaching down to pet the dog, or they're following it around trying to get close enough to it to pet it. Now, this can be really scary for a dog, and usually I haven't finished speaking yet, so it's like, please just wait. And this is at the time when I will ask the children to stop following the dog. They're not comfortable, and this is how you need to meet my dog. So make sure you are waiting to see if there is any further instruction. So usually, yes. How I would respond is, especially when I'm walking my own dog, because he's not very outside of his pack friendly. Well, he's friendly, but he just doesn't want to, he doesn't care about anybody else outside of his own pack. So often when a child comes over to ask if they can pet Max, I would say yes, but you're going to have to just see if he'll come to you. And I would say hold out your hand, or whatever the instruction is at the time, to see if he comes over. If Max comes over and gives him a sniff, I'll let him give a little sniff, and I'll be like, okay, that's all you're really going to get from him. Or I'll say, no, he's not interested today, thank you for asking, and I'll leave. When it comes to your child, just make sure that they are waiting for the yes, and if there's a further instruction. If they say yes, what your child should do next is to, there's a campaign going around, I don't know if you've seen it yet, that says be a tree. Your child should just stand and let the dog come to them, and to not pursue the dog. If the dog doesn't come over to them, they can kind of kneel down to whatever the level of the dog is, or stay standing and hold out their hand, and see if the dog will come over to sniff them. If they come over to sniff them and then walk away, that dog doesn't want to be petted. It's just saying hi. So just say, nice doggy, you're really cute, and move on. If that dog, you hold out the hand and then it wiggles its tail and it walks over, you'll be closer to you. You'll be able to pet it. Make sure you're not petting from the top of their head. Go on more of a side angle, but make sure that dog can see what you are doing. Make sure your child is also not staring directly at the dog, because if it's sitting there like this and they're staring at the dog, you're going doggy, 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 doggy. It can be very intimidating for that dog. And also not to chase the dog around. So if they go to pet it and it walks away, to not keep following the dog, because that dog is shy or scared or not comfortable. That can result in a bite if the kid keeps persisting, because that dog is very clearly saying, I do not want to be petted right now, but thank you. So make sure that your child knows that as well. Make sure the easiest thing to do is to be there with them and to direct them through the course. If they go to say hi to the dog and the dog jumps on them, it can be scary for the child. Just ask the owner to get that dog to sit if they haven't already, and walk your child through that, just saying, likely if the dog is jumping up on them, that they are still learning, or that they are a puppy, and they don't quite know their manners yet, or they thought that your child was a dog to play with because you're the same size, things like that, just so that your child understands that the dog didn't do it to scare them, and just so that they can kind of understand why that dog may have jumped on them, and how to deal with that next time a dog jumps on them. Basically, you want them to know that if a dog jumps on them, they should be holding their ground and to just step back. They can also push the dog off of them, or based on this height ratio, they can lift their leg and that will push the dog off of them as well. But usually what I say to Harrison is to turn around and walk away when a dog goes to jump to him. And usually what he'll do is, as a dog walks over to him, he can kind of read that it's about to jump now. So he'll go like this and walk off. Quite often when we have a new dog, his first question is it a jumper? And this is a good question to also ask when you go over there as well. May I pet your dog? Does your dog jump? Because then you can be prepared for it. It doesn't catch you off guard. You don't fall over or get hurt in any way in that regard as well. And I think that is a fantastic thing that he started doing, which really taught me something as well. It's a great question to ask. May I pet your dog? Is your dog a jumper? And with that, it just helps communicate everything. Everybody leaves on a positive note, and it really helps. I mean, even people with fear of dogs doing this as well will be a great way to help work with that fear as well. So just make sure you're when you are going over to ask a dog's owner, if the dog is on leash, if you can stay at least about 7 feet away from that owner and their dog, because most leashes are 6 foot, that way you won't accidentally get jumped on or accidentally bitten or anything, because you have that distance. So ask at a distance. Hi, I would like, is it okay if I pet your dog? And talk loudly so that they can hear you. And if they say yes, then say, is your dog a jumper? And if they say yes, then say, okay, can you get your dog to sit and I'll come over. When the dog's in a sit position, then you can go over there. Ideally, they would hopefully be sitting and holding a shorter leash so they don't still have the whole 6 foot to jump. That's a whole different video. And then you can go over, stand like a tree, or sit down to their level and have the dog come over to sniff you. Once they've sniffed you, you can pet that dog. If the dog runs straight over and climbs in your lap and wants tons of hugs and kisses, well, then that's a whole different thing, and you can be like, oh my god, you're so cute, ah! But take it slowly, assume that the dog may be shy, and just take it slowly, and then go based on the dog's reaction to you. And make sure that the child is not chasing the dog around if they have said no. And everybody will have a great experience. If you are out and the dog is off leash, and the dog is coming over to you, see if you can see the owner and ask if the dog is friendly. Usually if the dog is friendly, it will come over to sniff you. It may jump on you. Some dogs, it happens. And unfortunately, you're just going to have to deal with that as it happens, and then talk to the owner as they get close enough to you about that situation. Again, that's a whole different video as well. But when a dog is off leash, same tactics is become a tree, relax, and just have the dog come over and sniff you. If the dog seems to be running towards you. If the dog is running past you or is over there sniffing, then you can walk on, say hi doggy from over on your side of the path where you're walking. And if you can see the owner, you can ask them, can I pet your dog? If they say yes, you can walk over towards the dog. If the dog walks away, the dog doesn't want to be petted. If the dog comes over to you, then hold out your hand, let them sniff you, and then you can give them a little pet and just read it off their body language from there. If you have any questions regarding this video, or would like more explanation on anything, or for me to show you physically, please give us a call or stop on by our location or visit our website, www.thebarklounge.ca, and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. And have a great day. Thank you. Bye.